Testing. Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the School Bond Advisory Board. Need a motion, please, to approve the minutes of the April 5th, 2022 School Bond Advisory Board meeting. If I could get a motion to do that. We're okay. My ability to handle these machines is a little slow right now. We'll see if we can get there. Next item is to approve the minutes of the April 5th, 2022 School Bond Advisory Board meeting. Recognize a motion to that effect. There's a motion. Second. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Passes. Thank you. Oh. Now we're being asked to receive and approve the minutes of the Independent School District number 89, 2007, 2016 school bond issue revenue and expenditure reports, and I recognize a motion to approve that. Thank you. Moved and seconded. In favor? All passes. All approved. It passes. Next item. Recommend the final acceptance of project ES0084B, FD Moon Middle School renovation, 1901 Northeast 13th Street, revised maintenance bond, and placing revised maintenance bond into effect as of August 9, 2021, Ward 7.
Thank you, Chairman. We have Gary Weaver here from Design Architects Plus. He's going to provide a presentation for us. This is a victory lap. We have a completed project, and he's here to show us how the project turned out.
Welcome.
I'll race you for it. Good afternoon. Again, I'm Gary Weaver with Design Architects Plus, and I'm here to show you a little bit about our FD Moon project, which we've did final acceptance on about 2 weeks ago, and essentially we were complete in August, but we were waiting on some doors. So now we're all wrapped up, and I'll just walk you through all this. FD Moon's project basically was bringing the building up to code from around the 1960s. It had hardly had any work done to it prior to that point. We updated the heating and air conditioning to meet building code. We installed fire sprinklers throughout the building. We also enlarged restrooms near the first floor cafeteria, basically doubled those in size. We also added intercom throughout the facility, as well as updating finishes between classrooms, toilets, the cafeteria space itself, and pretty much we touched almost everything in this building. We also expanded the office and provided a new secure vestibule for the building. As we walk through, we started construction in May of 2020. This was an 8-phase project while the school was active, but to our benefit, we also were able to work during the pandemic when we had nobody in the school. That allowed them to speed up other phases and also slow down on some other ones and take their time to get it right. We had substantial completion in August of 2021. And as I mentioned earlier, we were holding out for some doors that needed to be replaced during the project, and just because of delivery delays, we didn't get that done until about 2 weeks ago on April 21st. I'll walk you through. This shows our updated restrooms with all new finishes from floor to ceiling, new partitions, new plumbing. This little picture to the lower right is the new entry to give us a little bit more expanded space to meet ADA. The building itself, as being designed and built in the 1960s, had very little handicap accessible features. One of the biggest things we added here was a new elevator to be able to access the second floor. Here's our new secure entry vestibule, which comes in from the east side of the building. You will now come in go directly to the left and come into an expanded office, which we relocated the office from the south of the building closer to this main door, all new finishes throughout. Lockers, we cleaned out the hallways all the way to the walls, put in new lockers. These are high-density polyethylene lockers, new seating areas, and also new water fountains. This is a classroom remodel before we got new furniture in it, before the teachers brought their existing furnitures back in it. Again, we took out ceilings, lighting, redid the HVAC ducting, new paint, new finishes, and waxed the floors. This is another classroom. This would be the special education classrooms near the back, which used to be the home ec classrooms. And in this case, we reused a lot of the existing furnitures and fixtures and just repainted and cleaned everything up. This is the STEM classroom, which used to be the former wood shop. They were able to rework that space, and they later on put a dance room in the back behind in another space that was previously going to be used for storage. Redid the kitchen, all new ceilings, got rid of the original 1960s metal tile ceilings, cleaned everything up, and put in a revised hood system, I believe, and also we made some substantial changes to the cafeteria. Here's our library remodel. Again, most of this project involved just going down to the bare floor and walls and coming back with new finishes. This is their original 1960s era cafeteria that had no changes to it until the time we walked in, and this is what we did with it afterwards. So we refinished every surface in this cafeteria, including putting new aluminum storefronting going into the cafeteria. Our original contract price was $3.9 million. Our total change orders were almost $400,000 for a final contract price of $4,357,000. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them for you.
Any questions?
Was the second floor already done, or was there?
No, they had previously done new floor finishes on the first floor, and the second floor at the time was being used by KIPP, and their updates had involved buying random paint and painting every surface I could imagine with whatever color suited them upstairs. So by the time we started the project with preliminary reports, and when we got in, they had painted weird things. So we had, like I said, we had to strip almost everything out of there. And
So
come
the
back
second
to
floor
new.
was done at the same time too?
The
I didn't see
second
it.
floor was redone to match the first.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
One thing I would like to clarify is the revised maintenance bond. So as Gary mentioned, the project was completed except for a few interior doors back in August, but we had asked the contractor to order doors, and due to time getting new doors in, so it was added scope. We're basically backdating his maintenance bond to the August 9th. He was basically completed with his scope of work back then before we asked him to just order the new doors. So that's a clarification for the revised maintenance bond.
Any other questions?
Was it the county that did the parking lot, Gary, is that FD Moon?
Well, we got another project we're doing, getting ready to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that was,
We did some patchwork on the north side of that.
Okay. okay.
Yeah, some-
It wasn't in this scope though. Wasn't in this scope though.
No.
Okay.
Entrance, the entrance drive was
Yeah,
redone
entrance
as
drive.
part of county, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Gary.
Get it next to you, here you
All
go.
right.
So yeah, the drive coming in off of MLK,
Yeah.
the county did that. They did some patchwork on the north end, tore out some broken up concrete pieces, and then did some other touch-up work and some painting in there too, so.
Our contract, we did an ADA ramp, bringing a sidewalk access from that existing parking lot and some minor restriping. And then we created an ADA sidewalk from the parking lot to that slightly elevated entryway off the east.
Boy, it's just, I had the chance to go in it prior to, so yeah, I've also seen it after. It's night and day. Well,
It's
phenomenal.
very much a night and day project,
Yeah.
yes.
And part of the change orders, the reason change orders were so much, it wasn't really so much that was an issue there, is that there was additional money that could be spent in that contract. So we painted, they paint all the metal on the outside.
Yes.
A lot of cleanup work that was done on the exterior of the building that wasn't originally on the first scope because we didn't know what we were gonna run into during the project, so.
Yeah.
Needed. Looks a lot better.
Thank you.
I would recognize a motion. Somebody needs, oh, God, I'm sorry. Bruce Sanchez moved and was seconded by Ellen Pogmiller. All in favor? Everybody say aye. Aye. Okay. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is to recommend Independent School District Number 89 approve heating, ventilation, and air conditioning upgrade projects at 4 schools utilizing I-89 2016 school.
Thank you, sir. At the last meeting, we approved, this committee right here approved an item to procure heating and air equipment at 4 schools. Those schools are Northwest Classen, Southeast High School, Thelma Parks, and Classen SAS at Northeast. So Saker Mechanical went off and they ordered the equipment. There are long lead times, so the district thought that would be best if we'd get those items ordered in advance. Now before you today is Saker's price to actually install that equipment. It was not included in last month's agenda. So there's a $3,166,900 item here to Saker for installation of said equipment.
I would recognize a motion to approve. With a second. Passes. Thank you. Our next item, okay, sorry, I jumped ahead. It's approved. Moving to the next item is to recommend Independent School District Number 89 approve installation of electrical equipment for the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning renovation projects at 5 schools utilizing I-89 2016 school bond funds of $3,811,000.
So similar to the last item, the procured equipment to Saker last month, this is to install electrical associated with all of the mechanical that we just approved, with an exception to which one, Gary? Gary, you might have to help me out here. There's one extra in the electrical side of it.
John Marshall Enterprise Middle School is an additional on this one here for
So
install of electrical.
we'd previously procured some HVAC equipment there.
Yeah, electrical, and then another item down here, D, which will be part of that also, that kind of work together, so yes.
So the cliff notes of this is that we're going to use Patco, which is an on-call electrical contractor for you, to install multiple sites, electrical equipment. At Northwest Classen, they're actually removing the entire switchgear electrical entrance and reinstalling new, correct?
Well, it's just added to what's there. Because of the type of equipment we're putting in, everything that was in there before is a water-cooled and heated system to where a lot of it's just 120-volt fans and stuff like that. What the equipment we're putting in now is a larger equipment for DX-type equipment that requires 400 amp, 1200 amp services. So we're having to run from a main distribution panel around that school, and that school's a large school, all these schools are, bringing in a large service to feed the electrical service. But by doing this, we'll be able to control dehumidifications and other issues and better cooling processes in these schools, so.
Okay, we need an active motion?
I do have a question.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This is separate from the previous one. The previous one that we voted was for the equipment, correct? And this one is for the labor?
So, yeah, the month prior, we did equipment, the HVAC equipment, okay? The previous item was Saker, the item before this one we're talking about now, was for the HVAC installation. They have to install the equipment, run duct work, do all miscellaneous work with that there. This one is just for the electrical part of it. And the cost of electrical copper these days is just, it's gone, the roofs of the prices have really gone up. And so these are our prime vendors. They give us prices to cover the gear, not to exceed pricing too, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion for approval? There is a motion and a second. All in favor, vote yea. Against it, nay. It passes. Moving on. Next item is to recommend Independent School District Number 89 approve construction management services amendment with Lippert Construction for the tunnel and heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, or HVAC, project at John Marshall Enterprise Middle School, utilizing I-89 2016 school bond funds of $1,181,582.
Right. So last month, we saw a presentation on the final plans for the tunnel improvements and other improvements as mentioned here. Those final plans went on to Lippert Brothers, the contractor that the school district is in agreement with for the construction. And the cost of that has come back at $1.18 million. That's before you today for your approval.
Other questions? Is there a motion for approval? It's been moved, seconded. All in favor, vote. It's approved. Moving on. Next is the consent docket.
Yes, sir, Chairman. Before you today are 6 items totaling $1,567,365.47. They're all on the consent docket and can be approved under one motion.
Any questions? Seeing none, we had a vote and a second. It's approved. Moving on. Next item.
Similar to the consent docket, we have the ratification docket. There are 26 items totaling $1,280,049.97.
Any questions? If not, I'd recognize a motion for all of them. There's a motion. Second. It's approved. Moving to comments by board, staff, or citizens. Are there any board members who would like to speak? Seeing none, are there any staff members who would like to speak?
No, sir.
Seeing none, are there any citizens who would like to speak? Seeing none, we're adjourned.